Hey you guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're giving you guys our final review of Pantheon of the Nightside Gods by Belzebubs. So after 1 week of listening to this album non-stop, Vile Self, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are pretty good. I did enjoy this album a lot. I didn't quite love it, but I did like it a lot. I feel like this album is one of those albums where if I'm feeling like I have a certain urge, a certain itch to scratch, I really want to just listen to that atmospheric black metal with that core typical sound, this album will do that justice for me. Very good at that, and checks off all those boxes that you would expect from an album like that. In our first impressions, we did not know, forgive us, that the last two tracks were actually bonus tracks. We don't include bonus tracks in our reviews, so anything was said regarding those songs in our first video, scratch that, they do not apply. We know that now, so we know the album ends on track number 9, which is the title track. And speaking of that track, I would say that's probably a pretty fucking good album closer, if I may say so. Before that, we didn't think that because we thought there's these two random tracks afterwards, but as the last track, it's a great album closer. It starts off nice and soft, it works up into some of the heavier stuff, and it ends nice and soft. It's just got a nice arc to it. I really like that, and it caps the album off very well. We talked about the intro track last week, Cathedrals of Morning, which is the single they put out. A good intro to the album. Starts off nice and mellow, builds up. Nice powerful song out the gate.
Yes.
Nice way to start the album. A couple songs that stood out to me the most were track number 2, The Faustian Alchemist. Specifically about this song was the guitar solo, and it wasn't even the solo itself, it was the marching drums that were in the background behind the solo. I thought that was a really cool element to add, and I don't think I've ever really heard that before. Like the marching drum with the solo and going over on top. I thought that was really cool, really unique. Still a really cool solo in and of itself though. And another song that grew on me, which I liked from the beginning, was Dark Mother. The fact that the Crown Daughters blends into Dark Mother is epic.
Very nice.
Both those songs together, in my opinion, could have been one track, and it would have worked, and it would have felt like almost like a progressive black metal song, which it kind of does in a way. But the solo in that song was another solo that stood out to me. And I kept kind of listening to it and going, wow, this is actually really good. And every time I heard it, I was enjoying it more and more. But it wasn't like, it kind of reminded me of like an 80s hair metal band type of solo, or like something from, you'd hear maybe from like old school Angry Malmsteen or something like that. Like not quite as technical as Angry, but I just liked it. There's something stylistically about it that really spoke to me. Other than that, the rest of the album was solid, but just kind of on a level playing field for me. What about you?
You know, after a week with this album, it really hit me how consistent this album really is. Because we spoke about last week how there were so many theatrical elements. We talked about those bonus tracks, which do no longer apply because we realized they're bonus tracks. But I would start to listen to this album with that in mind, and I realized this is a lot more consistent than I thought it was. Because before we thought, okay, there's lots of theatrics, lots of stuff going on, but then as I would put this album on, you know, either focusing on it or in the background, I noticed there's just a lot of, what else can I say other than just a lot of black metal going on? Because this is a theatrical album, but honestly, the more I listen to it, the more consistent just the straight up sound of the band is. And it's not like that the theatrics overtake that. And I liked that. And it was enjoyable to listen to that way. I feel the same way about you in regards to Dark Mother. That song, I already liked it in our first impression, and it just grew on me more and more and more. And every time that song came on, I would really enjoy it. I never really thought of having the Crown Daughters and Dark Mother being one song though. Because I agree, they blend together perfectly. They did a fantastic job at that, but I never really thought of, hey, what if this was one song?
Well, one benefit to having it as two songs is, like the Crown Daughters is basically a chill kind of song. It's a lot softer, right? A lot more toned down, and Dark Mother ramps it right back up. So one of the benefits of having those 2 tracks is if you don't want to listen to the soft stuff, you can skip right to the heavy stuff without having to scrub through the track.
That's true.
Right?
Good
so
point.
it's cool that they did that, but the way that if you listen to one like Crown Daughters and then Dark Mother right afterwards, just the way they blend right into each other and keep going, it just sounds like one full-on epic song, which I think is the purpose.
Yeah,
It's kind of obvious.
of course. And to comment on the title track as well, that was a really good song now with the perspective that it really is the album closer because of how grand it is, how big it is, how melodic it becomes. I really like just how, not really different, but how kind of unique this album sounds because of how heavy it relies on the theatrics at times. So I really like that it stands out that way, but the more I listen to this album, the more it kind of set in my head that this album is really good, but it doesn't really have too much spark to it that this is amazing. But yeah, I would enjoy all my listens to it, and I never really got bored of it throughout the week.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you know what? I'm looking at the track listing here, and other than the tracks we basically talked about already, the rest of the tracks kind of all just blend in together as like middle of the pack kind of songs. The only other one that stands out a little bit to me is the Werewolf Bride, because the riffs alone in that song, I think, are the best riffs on the album. That's just personal flavor. But everything else, I mean, it's all well done, it's well executed, but does it go above and beyond? Does it have that spark, as you said? To me, it kind of lacks it. I think the song that has the best spark and the best the most replay value and just the most you get from it is Cathedrals of Mourning, for me.
Yeah, that one still stood out to me as really good, as long with Blackened Call. Like, both the singles were totally solid throughout the entire week for me. Like, I did not get sick of those either.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Was there anything that you found sour? Did you skip anything?
Honestly, no. One thing I kind of did was I was listening to the album on shuffle, which included the bonus tracks, but I found I was really enjoying them. So I said, okay, I'm gonna make a playlist without the bonus tracks so they can't influence me anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever happened before for me, where the bonus tracks actually kind of start to change my opinion. So I made a playlist without those just so I could focus on the core of the album.
Yeah, I ended up just getting rid of the bonus track so I can just focus on the core of the album as well, because I again didn't want it to influence me either good, positively or negatively. I don't want it to thwart my opinions.
I did enjoy them though. Those bonus tracks were pretty neat.
Yeah, for what they are, I mean, we shouldn't be talking about bonus tracks, it's not part of the review, but just for the sake of just giving an opinion, for what they are pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're theatrical, they're atmospheric, all that stuff. By the way, you mentioned that this album's theatrical. That word is a word that I probably wouldn't use because those bonus tracks aren't part of it. Those bonus tracks definitely add like a theatrical kind of, almost like a movie score-esque type of vibe to it, but it's definitely atmospheric. It's definitely not orchestral, even though there's maybe slight elements of orchestra here and there. Maybe, I'm not even remembering correctly.
Stylistically though, you can see that show up in the title track. Like, that's such a big, grand song.
Yeah, for sure, like, it's there, definitely there, but I wouldn't call this a theatrical album. I would call it an atmospheric album. That's just me, but yeah.
Well, anyway, on that note, let's get to ratings. Vile, what do you rate this album?
Solid album through and through. There's really no bad songs. The biggest downfall for this album is lack of spark. You said spark. Spark's a good word. There's just not much memorable there to take away from it. So it's not toe tag worthy for me, but still a solid album. It's got great soloing, great riffing. The black metal elements are there. It gets a 7 from me.
Alright, and like you, I actually have similar feelings. This album is totally solid, and I enjoyed it throughout the entire week, but it did not, for me, also have the spark that brings it to toe tag level. I'm also going to match your score with a 7. But honestly, guys, this is still a great album that you should check out. If you're a fan of black metal, you will enjoy this album. It just doesn't get a toe tag. Oh well. Anyway, that's all we got for you guys today. Remember to like if you liked the video, subscribe for new stuff constantly coming from our channel. Comment, tell us what you thought of the album after a week. I'm TV Fish.
And I'm Vile Self.
And we'll see you guys later. Keep those horns up.